Welcome to the stage, Kelly Crandall.
Hi, everyone. So I am also a millennial, guilty. Tonight, we've talked a lot about technology and best practices. And like Bill, what I want to talk about is people, and specifically the people who make up the energy workforce. So I'll focus on three groups: utility employees, the staff of the state agencies who regulate those utilities, and the elected or appointed decision makers at those commissions. Now, roughly 25% of the utility workforce could be eligible to retire within the next 5 years. That could be even worse for power generation. And so while the nation's overall workforce is aging, what's different for utilities is they may be short 80,000 skilled workers by 2030. And commission staff are in a similar boat. California, Texas, and Hawaii have all mentioned concerns about losing institutional knowledge due to retirements, even as they're having a hard time filling vacancies. Now, this process of transitioning retiring workers and onboarding younger staff creates a risk to reliability so great it's drawn the attention of national bodies. And I can't believe I'm the second Tom Cruise reference tonight. Now, while baby boomers make up the largest share of utility employees, millennials are beginning to step in. And they're now the largest living generation, which means the only thing more prominent than millennials is thought pieces about millennials. So there are a couple of trends that I'll talk about that are relevant here tonight. One being that as millennials, we tend to be more concerned about climate change than prior generations. We also are more supportive of clean energy solutions like rooftop and community solar. A second trend is that we grew up with technology. And because of that, we can have generational differences in how we think about privacy, security, customer service, how we want to engage with the world around us. And that can impact energy and utilities. And a third distinction is racial diversity. The current utility and commission workforce essentially mirrors that of the baby boomers. And I think commission staff are roughly similar. And conversely, millennials are the most racially diverse generation of young adults out there. Hispanic and African American millennials in particular make up an increasing proportion of those groups. So essentially, millennial diversity is going to significantly change the nation's workforce by 2030. And while we're talking about demographics, I'll just mention there's also a gender disparity here with commissioners, utility staff, and even witnesses that give evidence at utility commission proceedings tending to be disproportionately male. And so these trends and diversity, use of technology, environmental interest, they all have implications for how utilities operate, how regulators regulate, and how we use energy. And I'll just give one specific example that I found, which is that while there are a couple of other correlations like retail choice and cities, states that have been exploring changes to the utility business model tend to have higher than national average diversity among their commissioners in race, gender, or both. And this diversity, embracing this diversity is important for utility regulation. And partially that's because there's evidence that more diverse teams make better decisions, but also because commissions make decisions about the public interest. So they should hear perspectives on that. But there are barriers to entry for young people getting into energy. It's not an intuitive field to succeed in. So I'll talk about 4 approaches that I think might be useful to help with this transition. The first of those is we have to be intentional in cultivating diversity, which isn't always going to be easy. For example, cybersecurity is one of the major concerns of utilities right now, and that's actually a workforce with its own pretty significant diversity issues. The second is that there are certain skills that are very valued in the regulatory environment, like the ability to conduct a cost of service or depreciation study, and those skills are dying out. So we should look to other alternatives from online courses to trade schools for that. Third, retiring workers and younger staff alike benefit from being directly paired for mentorship and even for oral histories. And part of that is because older workers tend to pass on their experience and their expertise verbally. And finally, we should support state agencies when they try to upgrade their data tools. So the Washington Utilities and Transportation Commission is actually piloting an automated data transfer process to make its review of filings more efficient. And we have a generation divide in energy, but it's not just renewables versus fossil fuels. But we do have a really phenomenal opportunity to cultivate new voices and new perspectives in energy, and I hope that we take it.